Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. If you're new, welcome. I appreciate anybody that has subscribed recently or anybody that's just recently started rewatching videos of mine. I appreciate it. I've seen a few new commenters on my last few videos, so I really appreciate those folks. And then again, anybody that's just watching without commenting, I appreciate you as well. So I had an idea for a video. I was just recently at a party in Williamsburg, Virginia. I'm from Virginia, for those that don't know, and live here, been here my whole life, and was meeting a lot of new people. And one of those common questions that comes up, again, if you're like me and you talk about music and people know that you like music, and that's a big part of your life, a lot of times people will say, well, who's your favorite artist? And I know that that's a very hard question for people that, are into music on a deeper level, not just listening to the radio, whatever the car presets are on. Those of us that, collect music, I mean, you can see different view on my video today, some vinyl records behind me here in my living room. Those of us that, like to dig deep into a record or to, we like to study lyrics, we like to get into band history, what studio musicians are playing on a record, whatever the case might be, we tend to overthink this question: who's your favorite artist? And because a lot of times, the person asking it, they're somebody that likes top 40, so they're going to say, oh, one of my favorite artists, is Carrie Underwood, Beyonce, Luke Combs, whoever's out there, Post Malone, whoever the big artist is at that time. A lot of times people that are just casually into music are going to list what they're listening to on the radio, which makes sense. It's kind of like if you don't have a streaming service, you have basic cable, you're just going to say your favorite show is going to be something from basic cable. It's not going to be something from Netflix or anything deeper than just your basic 60 channel, 80 channel plan that you have. Hope that makes sense. So one of the things that I struggle with is I have a little bit of an ego when it comes to answering this question, because I don't want to be the guy that says my favorite group are the Beatles. Now, the truth of the matter is, my favorite group are the Beatles. Do I talk about them on my channel much? No. I might have one Beatles video a year. I might mention their albums, that mean a lot to me. I know I talk about Abbey Road quite a bit. I've done a couple of specific videos on that record in particular. But I don't talk a lot about Beatles content. I don't talk about, the box sets that come out, the solo projects, whatever, because there are so many people out there in the land of YouTube that do it far better than I do and know far more about the Beatles than I do. So, yes, my favorite group is the Beatles. But I rarely start by saying that the Beatles are my number one, because I don't want to look cliche. It's literally an ego thing. So I guess this video kind of also is acting as an introduction to me. If you are new to the channel, haven't dug all the way back to my terrible introductory videos that I did almost 4 years ago. When somebody asks me who my favorite artists are, who my favorite bands, I have some here that I might throw out first just to kind of get the conversation going a bit. So I'll often say Michael Nesmith is one of my favorites. Obviously, Michael Nesmith of the Monkees, and then they say, "Ooh, who's Michael Nesmith?" And then have a conversation going there. Sometimes I'll say, "Oh yeah, I like to listen to Fountains of Wayne, power pop group out of Indiana." Yes, I know the hype sticker is upside down. It fell into the slipcase, and it's not flipped back around, whatever. But Fountains of Wayne, they had the big hit, Stacy's Mom. You can connect to somebody that said, oh yeah, I know Stacy's Mom. I didn't know they had other music. And then I can, kind of explain, well, actually, they have songs far better than Stacy's Mom, but that was a novelty song. So I mentioned Fountains of Wayne a lot. I talk about this dude, Pokey Lafarge, kind of an indie artist, although he does not have that indie sound. He's indie in the literal sense that he's, an independent artist. This is his latest album, Roomba Country. But he has all sorts of styles, and I can bring up, He has influences of country, of ragtime, of jazz, of you know, maybe a little bit of rockabilly. He's got quite a few selections of records that you can like hand a new music listener and say, if you like 50s music, here's this. If you like ragtime, here's this. If you like jazz, here's this. Pokey Lafarge is another one. Another, Lord Huron, I talk about them a lot too. Again, another indie band, fantastic group. Some of my favorite records are Lord Huron records. And then I have the big ones. These are the ones, well, I should say, that's not true. One more kind of in the same vein, The Head and the Heart. Indie group out of Seattle. This is their second album, Let's Be Still. Again, love The Head and the Heart. Are they my top 10? Probably, for favorite bands. But yeah, when I say who's my favorite artist, those are not the groups that I go with. These are the ones I would say that I say first and then say my little speech about why the Beatles mean so much to me. So one of these folks is Mr. John Prine. This is his album Fair and Square. This is from 2005. This was a reissue from Oh Boy Records. But John Prine, singer-songwriter, one of my favorites. He's the reason I play guitar the way that I play it, I should say. Again, people that know me know this. I've talked about it a million times. Again, this is a little bit for the new folks that haven't followed my channel for too long. John Prine, I'll often say he's my favorite guitar player, or he's my favorite, top 2, top 3 favorite songwriters. And I just remembered another one. Yep, sorry. Let's see. Forgot about this guy. He often makes the list. Paul Simon. This is Graceland, and this is definitely a top 10 album for me, for sure. And I mentioned Paul Simon a lot. I love Paul Simon. Got to see Paul Simon in 2018 in Greensboro, North Carolina. Fantastic songwriter. He can write hits like nobody else. The Monkees, top 10 group, I would say. Again, I talked about Michael Nesmith right here. Love the Monkees. Got to see Mike and Mickey back in 2021 in Knoxville, Tennessee. And yeah, also, I'll start a conversation with the Monkees. I'll start a conversation about these guys, the Avett Brothers. I talk about them all the time from Concord, North Carolina. I love the Avett Brothers. I've seen them 3 times. I can't get enough of them. They also have inspired my guitar playing to no end. The Zombies, this is their latest, called Different Game. Again, one of the British invasion groups from St. Albans in the UK. Time of the Season, She's Not There. But they have so many deeper cuts that are so good, and just that that haunting Rod Argent organ playing that's just so mesmerizing. I've seen the Zombies twice. Love the Zombies. So these, I would say, these last 2, and then I would probably say John Prine. These are the ones that I always have to think, which is my favorite? Again, if you know my channel, you know I'm going to show this guy. Tom Petty. This is Into the Great Wide Open. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. This is their 1991 release with Jeff Lynne. There they are, looking very 90s. Obviously, this has Learning to Fly, Into the Great Wide Open, All or Nothing, Two Gunslingers, The Dark of the Sun, All the Wrong Reasons. It's just got so many great songs on here. It plays so well. There's Tom. And just, again, it has that fantastic Jeff Lynne production. Tom Petty, by far, my favorite American band. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Are they a favorite artist? Are they my all-time favorite artist? Sometimes it's hard to say because, again, the Beatles are so important to me. But I don't listen to them like I do to a lot of these other artists because I've listened to them so many times. So when people ask me, again, no surprise to anybody watching this channel that has followed me. For anybody that's new, when somebody says, who's your favorite artist? I say Bob Dylan. I've seen Bob Dylan more than anybody else 6 times. For some Dylan fans, that's, mere shells there. But Bob Dylan is who I always start with. when somebody said, "Oh, who's your favorite artist?" I'll say Bob Dylan. He's my favorite songwriter. He is somebody that I am a completist on. I love everything that he does, whether it's self-portrait, whether it's the gospel records, whether it's his crooner albums, whether it's the album Dylan that even Bob Dylan didn't like. I love everything that Bob Dylan has put out in some way. Obviously, there's some stuff that's not good, but as a catalog, I absolutely love anything and everything Bob Dylan has put out. So that loops us back to the Beatles. Why do I leave the Beatles high and dry when a new person, when a stranger says, "Who's your favorite artist?" Generally, the conversation goes, "My favorite artist is Bob Dylan." I also like, and I didn't even show Van Morrison is up there. I forgot to pull a Van Morrison album, but Van Morrison is also there. But I'll say, I love Van Morrison. I love John Prine. I love the Monkees. I love Tom Petty. And then I'll say, well, obviously the Beatles are my number one, but that's a given. That's a guarantee. And it's not always a guarantee, because nowadays the Beatles sometimes don't get the recognition that they should from a lot of younger listeners of music. They think, some might say it sounds dated, whatever the argument might be. I don't want this to necessarily be a Beatles, is it bad, is it good conversation. I love the Beatles. They're my number one. But when I am in conversation with somebody, I will rarely say the Beatles right off the top. And again, it's just to show that I'm, a hipster and don't always have to think about the Beatles when it comes to music. When in reality, the Beatles are my number one. And that is just how I think will always be. Do I listen to them more than the other artists? No. Sometimes I'll go a year or two without listening to certain Beatles records, but they are the ones that I keep coming back to, and yeah, they're the ones that I leave out of the conversation of favorite bands, because they are just so above anything that I listen to. Anyway, I hope this makes sense. It probably doesn't, but hopefully it starts a conversation. Maybe it's a thread. Let me know what you say with this conversation, because so many people out there in the YouTube world love so many different types of music. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts on the matter. Anyway, I'm Sam. Thanks for checking out the channel. I appreciate all the new guys following, and gals. Sorry about that. But yeah, let me know what you think. Comment, all that good stuff. And we'll see you in the next one. Be good. Bye now.